Welcome back to God's 411. My name is Jim, and this lovely woman standing next to me is my wife, whose name is Kim. We have gotten a lot of requests for people wanting to know how to make their marriage work.
We have been married for 33 years, and ours seems to be working.
Yeah. So today, we are going to give you 5 of our tips that we would suggest to you guys out there of how to make your marriage work.
Yeah.
So why don't we first just kind of give them
a synopsis?
a little bit of a bio. We have been through quite a bit in our marriage. One event that we would have gone through probably would have broke a lot of marriages and they wouldn't have survived, right?
Yeah, it does.
And we've been through multiples. So we're not saying we're like experts.
We're not greenhorns.
We're not greenhorns.
Let's say that. We're not greenhorns.
Okay, so why don't we just tell them really quick some of the things we've been through in our marriage.
How long do you guys have?
That's why I said really quick, okay?
Okay. But I think one of the first kickers, this one is one that will take down most marriages.
I know what you're going to say.
A marital affair.
Yeah.
It will take, I think the statistics are 60% of the marriages will not survive a marital affair.
Yeah. And it's the only biblical reason for a person to get a divorce, which is...
You're lucky.
I was the one that had the affair. I'm not proud of it.
Disease. Jim had a very rare disease for over 15 years, still struggling with that.
And you...
And then I took over and I got MS, so we're struggling with that right now.
And that's hard because it changes the dynamics of your whole relationship.
It does.
From husband and wife to caregiver to patient.
And all the pain and suffering that goes with that. And then the big kicker, and I know a lot of marriages don't survive from this.
Because they blame each other.
You blame each other. We lost our only son. He took his life.
And the other big thing which we survived was foreclosure of our home, which is super stressful for me because it's a provider. We have really good experience that hopefully we guys can pass along to you. So our first advice, and this would be the most important, I think, is to put God first.
Absolutely. No, I think that's something that you learn right from the get-go if you're a Christian couple getting married. You learn that God's at the top of your triangle and you two are at the bottom, and the closer you come to God, the closer you are as a couple.
You know, one thing else I was going to say is to be equally yoked. I mean, the Bible talks about being unequally yoked, and I don't think our marriage, a Christian marriage, would survive if you were, and I know there are cases like Case for Christ where, they both were a couple that didn't believe in God. She became a Christian and he didn't. And their marriage almost didn't survive. Right. So unequally yoked would be hard. The other thing, what I feel, is that for a Christian marriage, putting God first is we as a married couple, not us, but married couples get their roles that the Bible clearly states on what a man is to do and what a woman is to do. They get it all messed up.
Yeah.
In our culture, women have become super aggressive and men have become wimps. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. So they're not the spiritual leader. They don't need to rescue their wife because their wife doesn't need rescuing. They don't need a prince because the wife is so strong that she doesn't need someone to rescue her.
I'm a very strong woman.
You're an A-type.
But I respect my place as your wife biblically.
Right.
It's very important.
If you guys want to read about this in the Bible, you can read Ephesians 5:22 through 33. It lays out all of what the husband is supposed to do, the spiritual leader, and the wife submit. And I don't like the word, with going into a lot of things, of submit. It doesn't mean being a wuss.
Right.
You know, it means just respecting your husband and his role as the husband. But then in the flip side, the Bible also talks about, the husband isn't all powerful. The husband needs to just treat his wife like he would treat Christ and himself. I mean, just as precious things. The other verse that you guys can read, again, is 1 Peter 3:7. And what we'll do is we'll put these in the bottom of the descriptions. And I would really encourage you to read these verses because they really do lay out a successful Christian marriage. Number 2, instead of communicate, I would say over-communicate, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe that a lot of marriages don't have great communications.
I think over-communicating means you really upset me today, and this is why.
Yeah.
Or you really made me feel good when you said da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
So I think it's really important that you know, guys aren't touchy-feely typically.
No, and we don't.
And they don't want to hear the mush-mush, and they don't really want to talk about it. But fellas, you need to respect that.
Listen, fellas.
and you need to respect that of your wife and listen.
Yeah. And one thing that I was going to say is that from our past history, it's super easy to get defensive.
Yeah.
So, when, you might come say something, I take it defensively, and I'll say, well, dinner's never on the table at 6 o'clock at night, and I'm hungry when I want to come home. I mean, so if one person, it's almost like if you're going to communicate to me a feeling or something that's bothering you, you need to listen. I need to listen. I don't need to come back and say a one-upper or say, well, you don't do this. This is my time to listen and your time to talk. And then one time I might say, hey, honey, when I come home from work, I'm really stressed out, and I walk in the door and you just hit me with everything that needs to be done and go on. Can you just please give me just 10 minutes to unwind, take a shower and stuff like that? And then
the guy needs to say that.
Yeah, but then I'll be absolutely happy. But then the guy needs to then sit down with the wife and say, okay, because he'll say that, but then he won't do it.
Right.
So then really make it a point to sit down and say, okay, so what were you saying when I first came in?
The woman needs to say her feelings, but not just overwhelm the guy, because it's too much for the guy. The guy's like, wow, okay, whoa.
It's like, wow, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, guys are simple, I've learned, and they can only have, one thing in the box.
One box. We have one box open.
So if you make it nice and simple and clear, you have to be clear. You cannot assume that the guy's going to get what you're saying. You got to be blunt with them. You have to hit them over
It's
the
honestly
head
the
to my
truth.
point.
Yeah.
I've learned that more and more, even, just in the past few years. It's just, you just have to be simple and to the point.
It's true, and without going into this a lot, girls have multiple boxes open.
Yeah.
I mean, they're thinking about dinner, then they're thinking about the clothes, and they're thinking about this, and they'll have 10 boxes open. A guy, if you've seen a guy driving down the road, he has one box open. He's like, road,
Yeah.
road, tree, lines.
Yeah.
I think guys need to listen to females sometimes, but yeah, guys just want to know the facts. They just want to get going. Tell me what's wrong. Let's fix it. Boom, boom, boom. They don't want to know the sky was blue while I was traveling the road, and then I got into an accident, and then I saw this guy over here that was homeless, and he needed $10, and I wanted to stop and give him $10, but I really didn't want to because I didn't have any money, and all I had is a credit card. And that reminded me when I had a credit card, I realized I don't have cash. It's like, what's the point of the story? Get to the point.
That's why
I got a ticket. Okay, great. Why couldn't we start with that?
That's why girls have girlfriends, because they go through all those details.
Yeah. Number 3, and this kind of goes in line, I think, with communication, but be transparent.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by
This
being?
is hard to do sometimes.
For guys, this is hard, I think. But what do you mean?
For girls, this is hard too, because we lack the self-esteem in our marriage to be transparent. That would mean that you're going to have to be,
Vulnerable.
yeah, completely vulnerable in everything.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do if you have a critical husband.
Oh, yeah.
Or, again, you don't have a self-esteem. It's really hard to be transparent.
No, but what would you mean by being?
I think it goes along with the communication, but I think it's this deep
Yeah, it's a deeper
feeling, again, guys don't want to hear that they hurt your feelings, but they need to listen. If they've said something that really set you off, you need to be able to say that so that without getting in a big, huge argument. The guy needs to respect the fact that that happened, whether he believes it should have happened that way or not. And the woman needs to be able to say that and get it off of her shoulders, or else the woman just sits there and festers. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Because he was thinking, he wasn't listening.
Yeah, I know.
And he just
Could you see? Could you just? I know.
Could you see
okay,
that?
could you see that? This is a really good point. Kim, it's so funny because Kim always knows when I'm opening up in her box.
Yeah.
Because I'll be really engaged in her. I'll get this blank stare and she goes, "What are you thinking about?" "Oh, nothing, honey. I'm just writing a note." I closed her box and opened up another box.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, purge all sexual sin from your marriage. And this is so important, and I can't express to you how important and how damaging.
Male or female?
Male or female. This is to a marriage, and how much this, either both parties, will affect your marriage, your intimacy, just a whole ball of crap.
Yeah.
And you can tell I'm passionate about this, probably because I failed so terribly about this. I'm kind of a spokesperson or whatever.
Absolutely.
To know I failed, and I know it almost destroyed our marriage.
It did. Almost destroyed. He received divorce papers. But I was going to say, a lot of people don't think that you can come out of that as a marriage and survive.
You can.
And
Terry Crews.
As a person, if you get rid of that sexual image and you make that marriage your most important thing.
Sexual sin, I mean, we're talking images, pornographic images. I mean, it's so hard because it's so difficult nowadays, because you just turn on social media and there's all these women on Instagram, and it's really easy because, God made us sexual creatures. I mean, he made us with these lustful, earthly, sin that it's really hard to struggle with. It's hard to fight, and you've got to be super strong and want to protect your marriage, either both party, right? So without going really deep into this, we have done 3 videos about sexual sin and how damaging it is. We will include these 3 videos down in the description. And seriously, anybody, male or female, if you guys are doing this, you need to stop it, and you need to be honest with your spouse. Let them know that you're struggling with this, and the spouse, the other end of it, it's going to be a blow, right? But if your marriage is important, you need to support the other half and say, okay, you've lost some of my trust now. We're going to have to rebuild that up, a lot of trust, because this really is harmful, but I love you and I want to make this marriage work. So how can I help you? What can I do so we can get you out of this pattern? And I don't know what else to say about that. I can go on forever. Very passionate about that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go for it. Number
5, and this I feel like if you're dating right now and you're listening to this, you need to be best friends before you even get married. If you're already married, and a lot of these steps that you take will help you to accomplish this, but you need to be best friends. And being best friends means you over-communicate, you're very transparent, you tell that person everything.
I think being best friends, yes, it's all of that, but it means you guys can be in a room together and you can just say something and you can just bust a gut laughing because you enjoy that person's company. I mean, I can't imagine, we're with each other honestly 24/7,
365.
A lot of marriages, be honest guys, could not do that. They need a break. And I think the reason that we can do that is we can just sit with each other. We don't have to say anything. I can lay in her lap, she can lay in mine. We crack a joke. We love to be with each other. I mean, we are truly, honest to the good Lord, we are best friends. And we always say to each other, which is kind of odd, it's like, well, if I have to go somewhere by myself, I just feel empty because the other half of you is gone, and it just feels this huge, something's missing because I'm just a better person with you there. I mean,
I agree. Ditto. You become friends.
I'm gonna cry. What?
I love you.
I know, I'm pretty
I'm your best friend forever, honey. MFDO.
So if you guys are married right now and you're not best friends. I think it's because that you're wrapped up into the routine and the daily things of life. I mean, taking care of the kids, going to work, making dinner, cleaning the house. You're wrapped up into so much of this stuff that you guys don't enjoy each other. You don't enjoy each other.
You need a date night.
You need a date night. You just need to leave the kids at home, go out, just get crazy, have fun, reconnect, learn about each other again. You know everything about your life. Like Kim's favorite color is clear because then she can see all the other colors. I mean, just stuff like that. You should know that stuff, right?
You know, it's hard when, like you said, when you have everyday life. So you've got to want it. So you've really got to, because a lot of times you can't get a babysitter. And you can't be by yourself. I mean, you don't have the money to go on date night. But you need to be creative and, you know, make a dinner and have the kids watch a movie and you guys go in the other room and have dinner together or something, you know, just...
Put the kids to bed earlier.
I think it just starts with respect for each other, admiration, trust, and just that love. And you're going to want it to work.
Number 6 would be show sacrificial love. And what I mean by that is I think of Kim more than I think of myself. So I think, is she okay? Does she need anything? I don't think about what I need. I think about how to make your life better. And that means expecting nothing in return.
Well, I think a lot of that, because I know a lot of people are going, oh my gosh, I can't do that because he never thinks of me.
Good book is Love Dare.
I mean, yeah, good book is Love Dare.
Movie, yeah.
But you know, you're always going, well, he never helps me do this. What?
Is it Fireproof or Love Dare?
You know what? I'm talking.
Sorry.
And it is Fireproof, but it's a Love Dare book.
Okay.
What I was going to say was that it's hard if you don't have that love. A lot of women feel underappreciated. A lot of women feel this way. And so they feel like I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this. And my husband never notices and never makes an attempt to do anything for me. So you tend to not want to do anything. And this is what I would say, is that you need to do things for God.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's God's love. You just do it. God will take care of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that sacrificial love, I think, for God that will just overflow into your marriage.
Yeah. You know, women are men are lazy.
Well, yeah.
You know, they're inherently lazy and they want to go sit on the couch while the woman's making dinner and doing all this stuff, and he just wants to play his games, and he used the excuse that I had a hard day at work and you just need to do it. Well, the wife had a triple day of hard work because the kids are throwing up and she had to cook dinner, she had to go to 4 appointments, she had a doctor's appointment on top of that.
Right.
And she says, "You had a hard day?"
You do what I do, we'll talk about it
later. And the guy's like,
You know what? As a woman, you have to respect and remember the fact that men are simple. You can compromise. That's the thing about sacrificial love. Is you've got to learn to compromise, know each other's differences, and work together.
do you want to do number 7?
What is that?
Productive love life.
Oh. Okay, number 7, we're going to talk about procreation. We're going to talk about your love life.
Yeah.
And this is hard. This is hard too. All of these things are really hard for marriage.
It's work.
It takes work. And we'll admit that when we first got married, we were not newlyweds.
Well,
we were not newlyweds.
No.
We did not have sexual intercourse hardly. I was trying to say it nicely. Like hardly ever.
Well, no, the reason...
We really didn't.
Well, one of the reasons is because you know, and this is something we had to work through, and this is again working through. She came from a very affectionate home. They were loving, kissing, hugging each other all the time. And I didn't come from a very affectionate home at all. So it was really hard for me, and it was really like, you know, someone gives you a hug and a kiss, and you're kind of like, would you get away from me? And they're like, oh, Jim, good to see you. It's like...
I know. And I have a lot of family, so it's overwhelming.
Right.
The main point of it is that you need to make it fun.
Yeah.
Do something.
Get freaky.
Talk to each other. This is when your communication comes in. What do you like?
Yeah.
What do you not like?
Yeah. Hey, honey, you know,
I have a fantasy. Do you want me to dress up like a maid and run around the house? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, it is a gift from God. It is God's gift to married couples. And I don't think there is, except sexual sin, going beyond that, but have fun. And I know for us personally is that, there's been times when I was sick that we didn't connect in, a certain kind of way, right?
Yeah.
Did you get that?
I got that.
Okay. Did you guys get that?
We didn't have sexual intercourse.
So, so it really was hard on our marriage. But I know that when we are intimate with each other, I feel, and I think you do too, maybe, and I know sex is different for women.
Absolutely.
Well, it's not even really the act it's the intimacy of you share, and I feel so much closer to her. And then when that goes away, like with your back, we couldn't, you couldn't do anything.
Right.
You start to kind of drift apart, not drift apart, but you lose that intimacy.
Connection. It's that connection. And again, it's hard if you have kids at home.
Yeah.
You've got to find ways to, because they should be sleeping at 10, 11,
yes.
midnight. So, you've got some time in your room. I know there were plenty of times that we had our son, playing in his room, and we had to escape for a few minutes.
I was thinking one of the best times.
Yeah.
And we'll just share a little quick story.
Yeah.
It was right after
the affair.
Yeah. God moved us very quickly out of that city. It made our heads spin. God knew we needed to get out of that situation. We were on the road. We had Tyler, and it was our first night. We had to stop in a hotel. It was our first night together, and well, it just happened right there. Well, Tyler was in the bed,
in the next bed,
6 feet away, and we were going at it. But it's it's like you got to be creative.
We're like, yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, so the last one is, I just thought of this, and this is what I was writing down, and what you said made me think of it, is you have to learn how to fight.
You do.
And this was we are still working on this.
Yes, we are. So shut up.
Well, when I say learn to fight, I think when people fight, it's absolutely unproductive. All they do is attack each other. They rip each other apart. They're like in a court of law. They try to prove their point. And this is all what we've talked about.
I don't do that.
Well, we both do this. We both. And our fights, we always say we fight like Italians, right? Because we go at each other pretty good.
But Italians stop.
Yeah, our
Italians,
fights.
They go, and then they're like, hey, you want some spaghetti?
Yeah.
I love how
our fights have lasted hours. So you really have to learn how to fight. And when I also say, I had to learn how Kim gets upset. So Kim is very quick to get upset. She's like a fuse. You're quick. I'm really slow, but I ramp up, and then I'm there, and I'm done. So I'm really cool and calm, and then it's like she's up like this, and I'm more like this, right? Well, it's the truth, right?
Well, it's kind of funny that you always say that, because to me, it's like I just go and it's okay, it's no big deal. But then, when I hit, I'm done.
Done.
That's it. Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
Look out! I'm pulling out all the negativity.
Right. I'm like, okay, let's try to calm this calmly. Okay, honey, And she keeps pushing, and then 5 minutes later, I am there and I'm done, and it's bad.
I'm glad we don't fight a lot.
No, so what we've done is we've learned to fight. We've learned to fight productively. And if we see ourselves going into that pattern where it's just boom, 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 we try to stop it. We've tried a lot of stuff. We tried to say, let's take a break, and that didn't work. Kim says, well, I'm just going to leave the house for a bit, and that doesn't work because I don't like her leaving the house. You guys have to
figure
out what works.
Well, I was going to say that it comes up to kind of like the sex thing, is that I was raised in a family, you never fight. I never saw my parents fight. I saw one fight, no joke, my entire life. And your parents, I'm sure, had little brawls.
Well, I think they were more open. They were more open and honest with each other. But I saw fights. Yeah.
So you knew how to resolve.
It wasn't the end of the world. It's just like, okay, this is a little fight, and it's going to be over again in an hour.
See, and to me, it was like, oh my gosh, we're fighting. We're going to get a divorce. Right. It was like the end of the marriage for me, because I'm thinking, you just don't do this. So there were a lot of aspects that you and I had to learn, and are still learning on how to deal with fighting. But if you learn how to be productive in those fights, you get
something done.
You get a lot.
And, you know,
Closer.
it's just, we could go through so much. I mean, you know, one of our other things was that we've learned is that when I'm mad, I'm mad. I mean, I'm done. And then Kim would come and this was hard for me.
I'm a peacemaker.
Yeah, she's the peacemaker, and this was really hard for me, is that when I was done, I was done. Kim would come to me with like a little card or
Yeah.
a little gift or I'm sorry, and I would reject that.
Yeah.
And that would just set off in a whole new direction of a
Yeah.
fight again.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to swallow my pride. And even though I was still super upset
Yeah.
and angry, and my heart was going 400 miles an hour, it's like, I really appreciate you doing that.
Right.
Thank you, you know.
Of course, I had to take that and
Yes.
not take it personal, but knowing that that's how you dealt with it.
Right.
I knew that it wasn't me, that you still loved me. I
Right.
think that's a big thing, is when you're fighting, you feel like that person just hates your guts. And you have to remember, this person really loves you, and you're just having a hard time right now.
What was that quote from Crazy Stupid Love? I love you when I...
I love you even when I hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
That's a good marriage. I love you even though I hate you, which is the absolute truth.
Yeah.
I love her, and right now I'm really upset with you.
I don't know if hate's kind of a harsh word. but
Dislike.
Yeah, I dislike you right now.
So this time, let me wrap it up, because
Add
you always
cold
do the
coffee.
wrap up. I know.
Okay, so let's hear you wrap it
okay,
up.
So let's bring it on home, like you always
No,
say.
you can't take my line.
Okay. So we really hope you guys enjoyed that. Our prayer for you is that you will have a productive, successful Christian marriage, and I just can't tell you when things start to click how wonderful it is. That would be our prayer for you.
And it's always work. It's always work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Put God
So,
first.
oh, I was going to do your little thing.
Put God first.
So, we will see you
Yeah.
next video.
Bye. You did good.
Thank you.
Good ending.
Well, thank
You
you.
copied me though.
Well, I know. Why mess with perfection?